So, thanks for joining me on my channel. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I was gonna try and do this video all, I don't know what the word is, but like the content creators do, where you plant the hook and you get people drawn in and you do it all fancy, but I just can't do that. I am who I am, so you get what you get. But I am here today to talk about this fabulous journal, which was given to me by a friend. She asked me for some photos of Colm and I after we'd done our first competition. Which one was that? The November competition. And she was very cryptic about it all, and she wanted to know my address and all of this, and I thought, what is she doing? Anyway, she got this journal done for me by the Inspired Equestrian Journal. So obviously photos of Colm and I, and it is just absolutely fabulous, and I can't wait to get stuck in and do some work. I'll show you guys what's inside, and I'll cut to some footage of that and a bit of a voiceover. The journal is full of so many wonderful things to fill in, like all your horse's details. It then walks you through the goal setting and milestones and turning negative thoughts into positives, visualization. Then it goes on to setting your goals. I don't have too many massive goals this year. I would like to eventually step up to prelim and also be able to take Colm out on his own without Bella. So that's something that I will work towards, and maybe doing some liberty work with Bella. But it gives you here a monthly planner, and then there's the weekly journal and daily rides. So there's lots of things to be filling in, and so you can keep a record and then look back over the months to see how you've progressed. There's also spots for filling in about your lessons, what you've been working on. The thing that I have filled in already is the competition book, which I found so helpful. So this arrived to me before we did so windy today, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure where to film this, but I figured out here was actually kind of nice. Something different than being in the dust bowl, which is my paddock at the moment because the grass has turned all brown. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Let's get back to the book. So this arrived before our second competition. So I had already read through it, obviously, and filled in some of it with my messy writing. But what it did do is on the day, it helped to prompt me about how I was going to approach the day, which is what I found really good about the book. So it gives you a section there, you fill in like your time schedule, and there's a packing checklist, which some people might find really helpful. And then it goes on about the goals, and then a plan to achieve those goals, a warm-up plan and a ring plan. So that was really good. So I actually filled that in before the competition day, and my goals were to give him a relaxed experience, and I did put a figure on what I wanted to achieve results-wise, which was between 65 and 70%, because when we went out for our first outing, even though it was his very first time and he was really tense, he scored really well, and I was really blown away. So anyway, that was one of my goals. So how was I gonna, what was my plan to achieve those goals? So it was to arrive early, I've got hair everywhere, not rush or get tense, there it is, to breathe and smile, to be accurate and rhythmical in my test, and to take my time and use the corners. So my warm-up plan was to take it slow, to walk large circles, then lots of transitions, a bit of leg yield, and to be soft but to have a steady contact, because we started to work on the contact, and he quite likes that. And my ring plan, again, was to take my time, to enjoy the experience, to be accurate, and to use my corners to balance, and to count the rhythm. Because being accurate and having a good rhythm, let me tell you people, you can gain points there. So then afterwards, it gives you, on the other side, is to write how it went. So in the prep one, we got 66%, which was actually really quite good. And in the prep two, we got 58, which as we go through the difficulties, which is what I asked you to do, you will see why. So you start off with the positives of what went well, and he floated well. He was fabulous to tack up at the float. He was so good around the stables. And what was difficult about the day? Not knowing how to help him to settle. So because this was only our second time out, I'm not sure what to do with him when he gets like he got. So with Bella, and I suppose it's taken time. I forget that I've taken her out numerous times over the last few years. So we've really built that relationship. Anyhow, that was one of my difficulties, and his anxiety around the other horses and deciding what to do in the moment. Like when I was in the ring, I couldn't decide whether I should retire or whether I should keep going. That was really difficult. And what would I do differently next time? I will just go as a training day, which is what I'm actually going to do. I've entered for January, but I've entered the practice arena, so we are not being judged. I think we get about 20 minutes to ride in the arena, so it's still competition day, but there's no pressure. So I can take my time in the warm-up, and if he's not completely settled, that's okay. We can just walk into the arena. We don't have to do any specific movements, and I can just really take my time with him. I think that's a really good idea, to take that step back. So that's what we're doing differently. And what was the other thing? Homework before next time. We'll try and do more outings with him. I don't know if I'm going to get time to do that. I was hoping to do that over this week, but I ended up with COVID over Christmas. Lucky me. I've never had it before, so it was my very first time. So you may as well do it, you know, at the special time of the year. Anyway, so I had a very boring week, and I haven't been feeling very well. So this is my first day. I've tested negative, and I'm feeling much better. So hence, there hasn't been a lot of content from me either over the last week. Anyway, digressing again. Homework before next time, more outings with other horses, basically. And I'll get back to that in a little bit. The overall judges' comments, I asked you to write that. So was needs more forward and confidence? Yes, we did. And that we have potential, which was lovely. That was a nice positive. And the walk was good and smooth, because he does have a fabulous walk. And my final thoughts, it was a day that we built confidence, and I was proud of us both. So I think when you have those down days is when you actually learn the most about your horse or your pony, and you also learn a lot about yourself and how to go about, you know, navigating those difficult times and holding your horse's hand at those times and building that confidence, and then they build that trust in you. So the one I wanted to come back to was what to do differently next time, which was, yeah, like I said, I'm going to take it and use it as a training day. On the way home from that competition, I was listening to a podcast, and I often find throughout my life that things come to me at the right time and the right place. I don't know if that happens to you. Leave me a comment if it does about whatever the story is with you. But I was driving home and I was listening to a podcast, which I often listen to, which is This Equestrian Life, with Miri and Ree. And Ree was telling a story about an analogy, actually, and how she thinks, like, when you take horses out, it can be very overwhelming for them. For some of them take it in their stride, but some of them it's overwhelming. And her thing was that you've taken your horse out to, say, a really busy cafe or restaurant, and it's so loud and there's so much going on and you can't really hear properly. Sorry, not taking your horse out. It's like when you go out and you get overwhelmed and you just want to find a quiet space to, you know, decompress. Instead of going out just to a quiet dinner party with a few friends where you can hear and you can listen and you can get used to that socialising. So yeah, I felt like on this competition day I had taken Colm to a party and he was so overwhelmed. So I need to step that back a little bit, and we need to just maybe go to a few smaller venues and smaller gatherings so he can get used to being around other horses, because I've had him here for 10 years, but he's not gone anywhere or done anything. So even though he's 14, I need to really treat him like a baby. Anyway, that was the book and how I found it really, really helpful, and I'm going to find it really, really helpful going forward. It also has a section up the top there where you can like what the weather was, and yeah, smiley faces or frowny faces on how did it go. I actually picked a smiley face because even though it was a difficult day, I felt that it was a really positive day in the end. So yeah, that was my competition and filling in my book. This journal is also going to be so helpful going forward with the weekly planning and the monthly planning, the goal setting. I'm not actually sure. I don't really have any massive big goals for next year because my goals from last year was I wanted to do novice on Bella. Well, she's retired now. Yeah, so who knows? I suppose my little goals are, like I said, to take Colm out to a few smaller outings, and even going to the dressage, doing it in a completely different way for him so that it's more enjoyable for him and for me. And that was another thing that Ree said, which I found really interesting, was the horses are not giving us a difficult time. They are actually having a difficult time. And in those moments, we really, really need to hold their hand and make the experience easier for them, whatever that takes, whether it means getting off and doing some groundwork, whether it means just packing up and going home, or yeah, just making it much easier for them. I think that is my goal. My goal for 2026 is to make this a fun, exciting journey for Colm, and so that we can both enjoy our outings together. Anyway, let me know in the comments what your goals are for 2026 and whether you have any or don't have any, who knows. I'm going to leave you maybe with a little montage of what we got up to in 2025. Hopefully you subscribe and hit the like, leave me a comment, and make sure you hit the bell button so that you know when there's new episodes. I'm going to try and post as often as I can in the new year and keep you guys up to date with what's going on. Oh, that was another thing. If you do want to keep up to date on the daily, follow us on Instagram. And I'm trying to grow my Instagram followers. And I do post stories and put together some reels and stuff like that. So yeah, give us a follow on Instagram. It's Riding Forward with Maria with an underscore between each word. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little montage of 2025, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.